Hi, welcome to the Anxiety Doesn't Own Me podcast. My name is Emmanuel Isaacson, and I'm here to help you to heal your anxiety naturally. So something happened over the weekend to somebody that I know. And whenever I saw what happened, I thought to myself, I was like, whoa, Emmanuel, if you were currently experiencing anxiety, you would definitely think that this will happen to you. You would definitely think that whatever happened to this person, what happened to you. And it gave me kind of idea to address this and talk about it on my podcast. And what happened was that I was in my in-laws' house over the weekend, and my brother-in-law's friend came over. His friend, we're all sitting down, we're all eating and talking and everything. And then all of a sudden, his friend, while he was sitting down, I was speaking to my mother-in-law, and my brother-in-law was also speaking to his mother. All of a sudden, his friend from the chair falls and faints. Literally just falls and faints and has like some sort of seizure. And we immediately all get up. We rush to him, spill some water on his face, try to, revive him, try to wake him up. And it took a good few seconds, like a good 30 seconds for him to get back conscious again. But instantly what I thought about whenever I saw that, I was like, whoa, if I was going through anxiety, I would think that would happen to me right now. And I know a lot of us experience that whenever we see something bad or hear something bad happen, we right away think that that's going to happen to us. And while I was looking at him while it's happening, it crossed my mind. I'm like, Emmanuel, remember whenever you went through anxiety, you would think that this would happen to you right now. You would think that this would happen to you, and it's possible, so you cannot be on your own anymore. Because I said to myself, imagine if he was on his own. What would happen? Thank God nothing happened to him, and he was fine, and he was on the chair, and he kind of like leaned over whenever he fainted, and he kind of hit his shoulder, not his head completely. So thank God nothing happened to him, and it was on the wood floor, so everything was fine. But that instantly, that thought came back into my mind. And I was like, you see, that's from my anxiety that I used to think that way, that, hey, that might happen to you. Now, of course, I said to myself, Emmanuel, that's not going to happen to you. And I already know, like, I don't even address it anymore. It doesn't even bother me. But it did cross my mind. And I said to myself, I remember I used to think this way whenever I had anxiety. I'm like, definitely other people that experience anxiety think the same exact way. That whenever they see something bad happening, that means they think it's going to happen to them. And it doesn't mean that something bad happens, that means it's going to happen to you. It doesn't mean that if you see somebody else faint, that doesn't mean you're going to faint. It doesn't mean that you see on the news that something bad happened, that someone got shot or whatever happened, doesn't mean that it's going to happen to you. There's no correlation whatsoever, but we right away try to protect ourselves and say, whoa, this guy just fainted. That can happen to me. And imagine if I'm on my own. And I used to be afraid of being on my own. I always wanted to be with somebody because I was afraid of the fact that I would faint. I was afraid that I was going to faint. But the truth is that most likely 99% of the chance it's not going to happen to you. And it hasn't happened. If you look in the past, like, hey, has it ever happened to you? No. But right away we think, babe, what if now it's going to happen? What if in the future it's going to happen? Who says it's not? But why focus on that? Why give your energy and your thought on the 1% chance of that happening? For what is the benefit if the 99% of the chance it's not going to happen? Again, it's like investing in a business. Would you rather invest in a stock or a business that is 1% successful or 99% successful? So we want to focus more on the 99%. Whenever he woke up, whenever he got conscious, we gave him some space, we gave him some air, we let him sit down over there for a while. We asked him after a while, like, hey, what happened? Like, what were you experiencing? And he told us, like, yeah, I don't know, like, I hurt my knee, like in a nerve, and like I felt like this dizziness afterwards. So it didn't happen out of the blue or anything. He hit his knee really hard, it seems like under the table, and that's what caused him to faint. But regardless of what happened to him, and thank God he is doing fine and everything was fine with him, nothing bad happened, thank God. Regardless of what it is, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen to you. It has no correlation whatsoever. So a lot of us, when we watch the news, what happens? We get very fearful. We get very scared. Like, oh, what if that's going to happen to me? Like, oh, be careful. Oh, don't do this. Don't go there. It's dangerous. Because we right away think that something bad is going to happen to us. But again, that's the shower anxiety trying to protect us. That's what it's trying to do. It's trying to protect us from the danger that's around us. But what we need to tell ourselves, say, hey, everything is fine. We are safe. It doesn't mean because it happened to him, that means it's going to happen to me. And I remember every time I would hear the news or I would see something on social media, I would automatically think that it would happen to me. Automatically. But never actually did, thank God. And it won't most likely for you. 99%. Again, I'm not going to say 100% because I don't know the future. But again, why would you focus on that 1%? Because again, we are focusing on that to protect ourselves. And also look in the past. Look at the past. How much good has actually happened to you and how much bad has actually happened to you? The bad, and whenever something bad happens to us, it just amplifies and it gets much better and it sticks there. It sticks there because we're fearful of it. We're scared of it happening again. We don't want it to experience. We don't want to experience it again. So we right away amplify that bad and it overtakes the good. So the majority of us, we do experience good times, but we're just focusing on the bad because they were so strong. So it amplifies it and it makes us believe that, hey, that's what's going to happen. It can happen again, but we don't want to experience that emotion again. We don't want to go through our ordeal again. We don't want to because it was too much to handle, which makes sense. But again, we want to focus on the 99%, on the majority of the time wherever nothing bad is actually happening to us. Like whenever I was afraid that I was going to faint and crack my head open, not once did it happen. Not once. And it hasn't happened already for 32 years. And I've never fainted. Nothing has bad happened to me in that sense of me fainting and cracking my head open when I had that fear. Because again, it's just fear. Like Les Brown said, fear is false expectations appearing real, or it's false evidence appearing real. That's what fear, the acronym of fear, is. And that thing kind of blew my mind. It was like, that's truth right there, because it makes sense that every time I'd be afraid, I would be afraid I would faint, but there's no actual evidence over there. It's just an expectation. It's an expectation of me. That's what's going to happen. And I dictate my life according to that. That's what I did. I was dictating my life according to that fear, but that really didn't help me whatsoever. It kind of controlled me, and it kind of like didn't give me that power. I felt like I was powerless. I felt like I was paralyzed, and I was always dependent on everybody else and on everything else besides me, because I was afraid that's what's going to happen. So whenever we right away whenever we see something bad happening, we need to coach ourselves and tell ourselves, okay, it doesn't mean because it happened to him, it's going to happen to me. It has no connection whatsoever. And especially if it happens close to home, like a family member, if something bad happens to family, we right away believe that's going to happen to us. And we get fearful of that because it's even closer. Like, for example, like my brother, he had a tumor. Thank God he is completely free. We didn't even do chemo or anything like that. We did it all natural, and he was able to overcome that, which is amazing. It was a miracle. It was crazy because the doctors gave him maybe 2-3 weeks. Even my aunt years ago also passed away from cancer. She didn't make it, unfortunately. She didn't make it. And I could have like right away thought to myself, like, hey, that might happen to me because it happened to my brother or it happened to my aunt. So whenever it happens close to family, especially, it does affect us even more. It makes us scared even more because, our genes are the same. So maybe I'm more susceptible to it as well. It can be with anything. No, but it has no connection. Who says? How can you predict the future? Why predict the future in such a negative way? Ask yourself, what has it helped you? Are you happy with your life? Are you satisfied with where you are right now? If you are, that's great, then stick that way. But if you're not, why not change it and try to look at it more in a positive way? Why not change it and look at the situation differently and look at the future in more of a hopeful way, in more of a positive way, so that we can actually feel much better, so that we can be more hopeful. We can have more energy, more power, more control over our lives and over our situations, so that we don't rely right away on protecting ourselves. We don't rely on the fear. We don't live our lives according to that fear. It hasn't helped us now, and if it did, again, stick with it if you're fine with it. But if you're not, it hasn't helped you until now. Why continue with it? Well, I understand why, because anxiety and the fear, it's so strong. It's overwhelming sometimes. But The truth is, it doesn't really help us. It doesn't get us to where we need to be. It doesn't get us to where we want to be, what we want to achieve. And I know that sometimes with anxiety, it's involuntary because it's just there. Because again, it's a disorder and we need to figure that out. We need to work on ourselves. But we need to take the action regardless of whatever the thoughts start to come up and try to think differently. We need to be more proactive so that we can start reprogramming our mind, reprogramming ourselves so that our anxiety, those thoughts that always linger around, that are always there, no matter what you do, can disappear and go away, and then you can get back to your old self. So to conclude, whenever you see or hear something bad happening, remember, just because it happened to them doesn't mean it's going to happen to you. If you are ready to heal and overcome your anxiety and to stop experiencing symptoms, I've created a course where I walk you through a step-by-step process in how to heal and overcome your anxiety. Over there, I will teach you what anxiety is, how it works, how it tricks you, where it is coming from, and why you are experiencing these symptoms and what you can do about it all naturally. If you are ready, the link is down below in the description. Click on it so you can join the course. As well, I'm coming out with a live coaching event where I'll have me for over 8 weeks and a group of people where we'll work together in overcoming our anxiety as a unit so that we can all achieve the same goal. If you did like this episode, please click the like button and leave a 5-star review. The reason why I ask is because the more people that we can reach, the more people that we can actually help. Because again, my mission, my purpose is to help people to overcome their anxiety. That is what I want to do. So if you know somebody that is struggling with anxiety, share this episode with them so they can also benefit. Thank you guys. Take care. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.